New Year's Eve is that special time of year when almost everyone you meet is looking for a fresh start. It is a night filled with bright, twinkling lights, big happy smiles, and a deep, quiet hope that the next 12 months will be much kinder and better than the last ones were. We all want to believe that when the clock strikes 12, things will magically get better. But for me, that night was very different from what I had expected. It was the night my marriage came to a quiet and very sad end. My wife, Rachel, had been planning this huge party for many weeks. She put so much heart into it. She picked out a very fancy hotel right in the middle of the busy city. She was so excited about the whole thing, telling me every day that it would be the absolute perfect way to welcome the new year with all our close friends, the people we work with every day, and our family. She looked truly beautiful in the silver dress that we had picked out together at the store. As we walked through the big room, she smiled for every single photo and kept her arm tucked tightly into mine. To anyone watching us that night, we looked like the happiest couple in the entire ballroom. We were playing our parts perfectly, like we were in a movie about a happy life. We held hands, we laughed at the right times, and we made sure everyone saw how much we cared for one another. But beneath all that glitter and the loud music, something was very wrong. I didn't know it yet, but the life I thought I was living was about to fall apart right in front of my eyes. Around 10 o'clock in the evening, the room was getting very warm and the music was getting louder. I decided to step away for just a little moment to get some air. I also wanted to be a good partner and get us 2 fresh glasses of bubbly champagne so we could celebrate together. As I was making my way back through the thick crowd of people, I saw something that made me stop walking right away. Rachel was standing near the balcony where the air was cooler. She was talking to a man I had not seen in a very, very long time. It was her old boyfriend, a man named Jason. They were laughing and talking just like they used to do many years ago when they were young. They were so caught up in their own conversation that they did not see me at all. I was standing only a few feet away from them, hidden behind a large, decorated pillar that was covered in green leaves and gold ribbons. That is when I heard Rachel say something that changed every single thing I knew about my life. She spoke in a very quiet voice and said, "Sometimes I really think I wasted 13 years of my life with the wrong man." Jason gave her a small, knowing smile and reached out to gently touch her hand. He whispered back to her, "It is never too late to fix a mistake like that, Rachel." In that one heartbeat of a moment, all the music, the laughter, and the happy noise of the party seemed to just fade away. The only things I could hear in the whole world were those 2 voices. I stayed exactly where I was, hidden just long enough to hear the rest of what they had to say to each other. Rachel admitted to him that she had been thinking about Jason for many, many months. She confessed that she only stayed in our marriage because she was scared that leaving would be too hard and too complicated for her. She even let out a little laugh when she said, "Daniel is a good man. He really is. He just isn't the man I should have married." Hearing those words hurt much more than if I had seen them kissing. I realized then that being hurt by someone you love isn't just about physical things. This feeling of wanting to be somewhere else had been growing inside her heart for a long time before this party ever started. It was like she had been living a lie for years while I was trying so hard to build a home with her. I walked away very quietly before they could see me or know I was there. I went back to our table and sat down, feeling very cold inside despite the warm room. A few minutes later, Rachel came back to the table. She was smiling and acting as if nothing had happened at all. She wrapped her arm around mine and asked if I was excited for the midnight countdown. I gave her a polite smile, but underneath the table, I reached for my wedding ring. I slowly pulled it off my finger and tucked it away in my pocket. She didn't even notice that my hand was bare. While everyone around us was laughing and dancing, I realized I was saying a silent goodbye to the life I had worked so hard to protect. I was letting go of a dream that wasn't real anymore. I was mourning a marriage that she had already ended in her mind. As the last minute before midnight got closer, everyone moved toward the big stage. Couples were hugging each other tightly. People were raising their glasses high in the air, and everyone had their phones out to take pictures of the new year. Rachel squeezed my hand, but she didn't know that my wedding ring was now sitting quietly in my jacket pocket next to my keys. The crowd began to count down out loud. 10, 9, 8. I looked at Rachel one last time, trying to see the person I thought I knew. Then I took out my phone. A few months ago, I had noticed some strange things happening. There were late-night phone calls and meetings that didn't make sense. Because of that, I had gone to see a very caring legal expert. I had hoped that I would never have to use the papers he helped me prepare. But standing there, listening to the woman I loved talk about a future that didn't include me, I knew it was time to be brave. While the crowd shouted, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year, I calmly sent one message I had planned and typed out earlier. I didn't send it to Rachel at first. I sent it to my lawyer. I told him to move forward with everything as soon as the office opened on Monday morning. Then I sent one final text to Rachel. Her phone buzzed in her hand almost right away. She was still smiling from the celebration and looked at her screen, probably thinking it was just another happy message from a friend. But as she read the words, her face completely changed. Her smile went away and her hand started to shake. She looked up at me like she couldn't believe what was happening. She read the message one more time, just to be sure she wasn't dreaming. It said, I heard every word you said tonight. You can keep the memories you wanted more than our marriage. The divorce papers will be waiting for you after the holiday. Rachel looked around the room in a total panic. Her eyes landed on Jason, who was standing across the ballroom. He saw her face and realized that something had gone very wrong. Rachel turned back to me with big tears in her eyes. She begged me, Daniel, please, you must have misunderstood what we were saying. We were just talking. I stood up quietly and placed my wedding ring on the table between our champagne glasses. I looked her right in the eye and said, No, Rachel, I understood perfectly. I heard the truth. For the first time in a very long time, everything felt very clear to me. I started walking toward the hotel lobby, ignoring the loud music and the fireworks that were still going off outside. Rachel ran after me, crying out for me to stop. She grabbed my arm just before I reached the exit door. People were starting to stare at us as she struggled to find her breath. It wasn't what it sounded like. She cried out, Jason and I were just talking about the old days and how things used to be. I gently moved her hand away from my arm. I told her quietly, You didn't say you missed a pass, Rachel. You said you wasted 13 years of your life with the wrong man. Her face fell. She tried to tell me that she was just feeling emotional and confused because she hadn't expected to see Jason. But every excuse she made sounded weaker and weaker. Finally, I asked her one very simple question. If you really thought I was the wrong man, why did you come home to me every single night? Why didn't you just tell me the truth? Rachel opened her mouth to speak, but then she just looked at the floor. She had told many lies over the years, but she wasn't ready for a question that required total honesty. Jason finally walked into the lobby to see what was happening. He could see that Rachel was having a hard time. He looked at me and said, Daniel, none of this was supposed to happen tonight. This wasn't the plan. I couldn't help but give a sad smile. You are right, I told him. This all started a long time before tonight. Rachel looked at him in shock. She told him not to make things worse, but Jason just sighed. He admitted that they had been meeting for coffee for several months. They had run into each other by chance and started talking again. He said that nothing physical had happened, but he couldn't lie about the fact that they were sharing their deep feelings with each other. Rachel closed her eyes. It seemed like she had hoped Jason would help her keep her secret. Instead, he just said he was sorry and walked away. He didn't take Rachel with him. He didn't try to fight for her. He left her there to face the truth of marriage she had slowly broken, one small secret at a time. It was a lonely moment for her, but it was a moment of truth for me. The rest of the holiday weekend was very quiet and very long. On Monday morning, Rachel came home and found the divorce papers waiting on the table, just like I said they would be. She called me over 30 times that day. She left many messages, crying and promising that she would never speak to Jason again. She begged for just one more chance to talk and fix our lives. A week later, I finally agreed to meet her at a small, quiet cafe. It was the same place where we had celebrated our first year of being married. She looked very tired and had lost all her confidence. I was just angry at myself that night. Not at you, she whispered to me. I didn't mean those words the way they sounded. I looked at her for a long time before I answered. Rachel, I said gently, people are usually the most honest when they think no one is listening. You said what you really felt. Tears fell down her face because she knew it was true. I didn't end our marriage because of one bad sentence. I ended it because that sentence showed me the feeling she had been hiding for way too long. Sometimes friends ask me why I didn't make a big scene or yell at her in front of everyone at midnight. The answer is very simple. Being mean in public wouldn't have changed the facts of how she felt. The truth had already done all the work. When I look back, I don't think about the fireworks or the music. I remember standing in that crowded room and realizing that the woman next to me was already gone in her heart. My message didn't just make her sad. It took away the lies she was living. It showed her she couldn't keep one foot in our marriage while dreaming of another life. That party wasn't the start of a broken heart. It was the start of my freedom. While everyone else was cheering for a new year, I was celebrating something much more important. I was finally letting go of someone who had already let go of me long ago. I was choosing to be honest, and that is the best gift I could give myself.